I forgot to mention, Debbie and I wanted to mention that there are a couple of these GoFundMes for the families of the children who were killed at
Robb
Elementary.
Robb Elementary Memorial Fund has set up an account at First State Bank of Uvalde for families of the elementary school shooting. And it says if you want to donate, you can do so at any FSB branch.
FSB meaning First State Bank.
Well, I believe it's First State Bank, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And
then there's a separate...
And then there's a separate one that you go to. It's GoFundMe, and it's Texas Elementary School Shooting. So there are, of course, you're going to have a lot of frauds that are going to want to, capitalize on this, but there are some legitimate sites.
Well, this is a verified site.
This is a verified site. If you want to donate, we're going to donate money. And I was really pleased to read that there's a couple of funeral homes that are actually in Uvalde that are not going to charge the families. And I that almost brought me to tears because, as you know, funeral costs are so expensive. And to have to do that with people that are very low income and can't afford it. So, bless you for doing that as a funeral home director to take the cost off of this is just incredible. But a lot of these families are going to need your help. And, the two teachers that were killed obviously have families and they had incomes and they no longer will, of course. So helping those families is also a very good thing to do. So we're going to do it. I don't know if we're going to do the GoFundMe or if we're going to just send a check to the bank for the fund.
We'll figure it out.
But we'll figure it out. But we want to encourage you to do the same as well. And it's a very good thing for those families because it won't bring their kids back, of course, but any little thing will help at least.
Yeah. Makes you think a little bit about the motives of the shooter here, and of course, one can always say they're crazy, and but that's not really an explanation because. Even if the guy was crazy, he obviously was purposeful, right? He was purposeful to be able to go and get a firearm. He knew what he was doing.
And there's all kinds of things going around online. They're saying that he didn't graduate and he was mad about not graduating. Who does that when they're mad about not graduating? But that's what they were saying. He
blamed his family.
He blamed his family for not graduating. And then another thing was saying, that he liked to wear dresses and there's photos of him in dress. Whatever. But the fact is this young man and the mother comes out and says, my son is not a monster. Well, I beg to differ. He is a monster. If he did this, he's a monster.
It was a monstrous act.
Oh, well,
So if he's not a monster, then a non-monster did a monstrous thing. Because, think about it. Whatever his grievance, why would you cut off the life chances of all these kids, all of whom could have grown up and graduated and gotten married and had families.
I know I sound very cliche when I say this, but I wonder if all of these video games that kids play that are really violent, where they shoot up people, I wonder if those types of things kind of play into the psyche of these people that think that it's a game. I don't really know.
Almost gives them an artificial sense of
it almost does. And so I don't know if that... we can just go on and on about the causes. And of course, the left, they think that the common denominator is a gun, right? But really, I beg to differ because I have a gun. I don't do those things.
The common denominator is actually the evil in the perpetrator, right? Think of the Waukesha guy. Think of this guy. What's the common denominator? It's not the gun.
Yes.
It's the fact that you've got a really bad guy who wants to do really bad things and is taking the weapon at their disposal.
In Europe, where they ban guns, think of all the stabbings that happen over there. They're lunatics walking around the train station or whatever, stabbing people and doing those things, bombings, whatever, it's whatever is available to them. And the common denominator is that they're crazy and they're somehow demented and don't think that this is wrong or I don't know if they care. But anyway, all of that to say that
it seems like
it's extremely tragic.
The Democrats try to create a sort of frenzy because they like to pass laws when everyone is in a worked up frame of mind.
Right, exactly. Yes.
That's their strategy.
Well, it's the crisis mode, right?
It's the crisis.
When there's a crisis, that's when you attack.
Right.
Right? It's almost like a vulture flying around when there's a carcass, right? They act the same way. I mean, I hate to do that as an analogy, but it's kind of the same.
Yeah, totally.